Fisher, thanks for meeting with me today to talk about your lesson. We're going to go over just a few pre-observation things, and I'll give you an opportunity to let me know anything that you want me to specifically look for. And while we do this, I'm going to jot some notes down so I can remember for later on. Is that all right?
Yes.
Okay. So first, can you tell me a little bit about what they're going to do in class today and what your goal for the lesson is?
We are finishing up Fitness Week today, and we've been working on fitness stations for 2 days. They did a team beep test earlier this week, and yesterday they did 5 jump rope stations. So today it's kind of a culmination, or not really a celebration, but kind of a different way just to wrap up the week. They're going to do 5 or 6 different competitions depending on time, and they're going to get awarded points if they finish first or second, and then whichever teams win will get cyclo bucks. As far as what am I hoping to get out of it, just to foster a little bit more teamwork, collaboration, and responsibility, because they're going to have to keep track of the number of times that they accomplish a task. For example, one of the competitions is a football throwing, and they have to count how many times they catch it. So they'll run across the gym floor, throw it to their teammate. Whether they catch it or miss it doesn't really matter. I mean, they get the point for catching it, but they got to run it back to the next teammate, and then the person, just for 3 minutes. All of our competitions are going to be 3 minutes.
So how did you decide and design this lesson?
Some of the things, we've got hula hooping, we've got jump roping, which are 2 things that we worked on this week, and then the football throwing just kind of ties in all of our catching and throwing cues that we've practiced all year. We've got a towel pushing station, which will work on strength, and then there's another one that's just strictly running. And so we kind of tried to tie it in with all of the different things, the different components of fitness that we're going to be testing them on in a couple weeks when we do our second and final round of fitness testing.
And so how many times have you done fitness testing with them throughout the year?
Just fitness testing over the 4 things that we have to report to the state once at the beginning of the year. But we've also tested them 3 or 4 times on the 2 things that are part of our SLOs. So this next time will be the second time we do it. And so we're trying to figure out, we went to a conference a while back, and we're going to have to start reporting our fitness data to the state next year. So we're trying to figure out the best way to collect that data so that we can report it easily.
And I've been in your class several times, so I know that the kids are always engaged and really enjoy and look forward to coming to PE. But how do you plan to keep them engaged for this particular thing, especially when it's fitness station testing? I can see that being not as fun as other things. So what are you doing to make sure that they stay engaged?
Well, all of the things that they're doing are going to be timed. So there's what's the word I'm looking for? There's a kind of an urgency to it. And so, well, the first one, the running one, is not timed. They're just going to do a pyramid up and down to 10. And so the first team that finishes wins. So if anybody isn't engaged, one of the things that we've been trying to do since we went to this new running initiative is stress positive peer pressure. So you can say, hey, we really need you to run as hard as you can. So if somebody isn't 100% engaged, they're kind of letting their teammates down. But as far as the other 4 or 5 things that we're going to do, with it being timed, there's a sense of urgency, and if someone's not trying their hardest or not fully engaged, their teammates are going to see it. Everybody's going to see it, but their teammates specifically. And we've kind of been stressing to them to try to figure out constructive ways to lift your classmates up when they're not performing, because it's easier to do it in PE than if you get a 80% on a test. It's kind of hard for one of your classmates to say, oh, hey, you got to do this, this, and this. But if you're doing a push-up wrong or not hula hooping wrong, somebody can say real easy without hurting your feelings, hey, maybe try to swing your hips differently, or you know what I mean. So it's a little bit easier to provide constructive feedback in PE rather than like on a test.
Are you seeing
from peer to peer?
Are you seeing that the positive peer interactions? Are you seeing students actually using that? Is that helping?
Yeah, Wednesday, and it's something that I put on Twitter when we did the team beep testing. The positive, uplifting comments that they made towards each other, trying to get their teammates, and not just teammates but classmates, to finish the beep test was pretty outstanding. It was pretty cool to watch.
what's your role? So while the students are doing this and timing, what are you doing?
I will be going around providing feedback if someone is not doing something correctly. Honestly, it's kind of more of a facilitator in providing feedback. The students, we're going to provide them, the cues and all of the different things that they're going to be doing before each thing. So we'll provide instruction before each drill, but then they will be in charge of administering it themselves. So I will be, announcing time, providing feedback as I go along from station to station. So not station to station, team to team.
And you had said that students are going to be responsible for recording their own information. Are you using technology with that? How are you handling that?
We are using the good old honesty system,
Okay.
which I've already done it once today. We did struggle with in 5th grade, and my hope would be as we get later in the day with the classes getting older that the students are a little bit better about being honest. But in terms of technology, with it being so frantic and such a small time thing, I really wanted to minimize the distractions, and I kind of felt like constantly handing an iPad back and forth. If it was something like, you're going to do something over 10 minutes and somebody's going to do something for, a prolonged period of time, we could integrate technology, but I don't.
It just didn't fit with this.
No, it didn't fit because it's more of a, not that it would be a nuisance, but it would just, I think that we would drop some iPads. If I'm coming back and you didn't know it was your turn and you had the iPad and you try to clumsily hand it to somebody, and then I don't want anybody's broken iPad on my conscience.
Are there any areas that you specifically want me to look for during the lesson?
The eighth grade class is really good about trying to, and sometimes they get a little bit negative, but for the most part, they're a really good class on providing really good feedback. So I would like for you to try to hear as many different ways of that as possible, instead of just, hey, good try next time, or come on, let's go. Just see what kinds of things they're saying to each other. I mean, we know the kids have really complex vocabulary, of PE terms, of slang terms, of and so on and so forth. So I would be curious to see the different types of things that they're saying to each other about being constructive, not just, hey, you're a moron, or you suck at running, or something like that. You couldn't you couldn't hit water if you fell out of a boat, that type of stuff.
So listen for both the positive and then if there's any negative as well.
Sure.
Okay. How are you going to know if you've accomplished the goals of your lesson today?
Well, when we did it with the 5th graders today, the things that we talked about at the end of class when we wrapped up class, the things that we were wanting them to develop, and the kids actually provided some really good answers. They talked about teamwork, and then I mentioned earlier about the different fitness components that we're working on to get ready for our second round of fitness testing. And then they also said responsibility in terms of, saying, hey, we got 1, we got 2, we got 10, so on and so forth. And then, what else did they say? There's another really, honesty. Somebody said honesty, which for that particular class is a big deal. 8th grade, and we never really stressed to them, we put the idea in place that, if your team gets the most, that you get the point for winning, but it's not about the winning. It's just kind of a motivational tool to try to get them to try as hard as they can. But as long as they have fun and they look like they've exerted themselves by the end of the class period, I think it will be a success.
So you actually asked the students what kinds of things how they felt they would, or what they felt they were going to get out of the lesson? Is that what you said you did with the 5th graders?
When we wrapped it up, we said, because there was some discrepancy and one kid was crying because another team said they were cheating. So, we said, what do you think that we were looking for from you as a team while you were doing this? And then that's when they provided the things that we just mentioned.
Are there any students in the class that have special needs or things that you thoughtfully accommodate for?
There are, of course, IEP students in there, but we really don't have any. There are no physical things that we have to account for. Like there are no handicapped people. And then when we've been doing the fitness stuff this week, there's really been nobody that's been participating with any kind of limitations or so on and so on. And there's no. I mean,
You don't have any
count.
medical restriction, students on a medical restriction right now?
No. No. Sixth grade is the only one place.
How do you handle students if they're not prepared for PE? You know, they don't have their clothes, those types of things.
Well, this year we did away with our full no dress, and a kid can still participate in class if they don't have their clothes. The maximum grade that they would get would be a 15 out of 25. Our classes are at 25 a day, and we did that because at the deep down we want them to participate, and if they don't have their clothes, we kind of decided that that's okay, but they won't be able to get their 10 points a day for dress.
Is there anything else that you want to share with me about the lesson today, or you in particular are proud of, or are kind of reflecting on this process yourself?
I think that would be something I could better answer after I've done it a second and a third time, because that would, the time when we do it, 8th grade PE will be the 4th time. So after I collect some more data, I can kind of say, okay, maybe we need to go longer, or maybe we need to go shorter. Maybe I need to give them a little bit more instruction at the beginning on what we're looking for as they go through. So no, I don't think so.
Okay. All right, well, I'm looking forward to coming in PE. Is there anything, any particular place you need me to stand or need me to be?
You can stand wherever you would like to stand.
Okay. All right, thanks for having me in, Mr. Fisher. I look forward to seeing you last period today.